Welcome to another edition of He Said, She Said with Scott and Nicole. I'm glad everybody can make it today. And a quick reminder, this is brought to you by Addiction Training Center and Legacy Healing Center. Nicole, how you doing?
I am good, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's been a busy week, but I'm feeling good. I'm doing good, getting a lot of work done. It's always a good thing when you got a good week where you feel like you're getting things done, right?
Yeah, it makes you feel, accomplished.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I agree.
Exactly. And considering there's other weeks when I feel like I spent the whole week and I can't figure out what I did. I don't like those. I don't like those at all.
No, I like a really busy week. And then when the weekend comes, if my kids are with their dad, I like picking one day doing nothing.
Now, recently you spent a weekend not doing nothing. You spent a weekend out on the boat and in the beach and riding waves. Was that this past weekend or the weekend before that?
That was not the weekend before that. So my friends put together a Jack and Jill, which is a bachelor and bachelorette party for Anthony and and I haven't had that much fun in a really long time. I'm still exhausted. I feel old because I'm still exhausted from that weekend, and it was 2 weekends ago.
Now, wait a minute. A Jack and Jill party?
Yes.
So will you still get a shower, a wedding shower?
So I'm not going to have a bridal shower, but the Jack and Jill is a bachelorette party blended with a bachelor party. So it's guys and girls.
Okay,
Normally,
yeah, I get that.
yeah.
But I'm
So
just
I
wondering because
no
you're still a long way away from getting married. I mean,
3 months.
you're talking about November,
Yeah, it's not
so
long.
it's kind of a long way. But I mean, shit, if you still got 24 hours, you still got a chance to get out.
Yeah.
No,
Don't tell Anthony that.
no, stay where you are, Aunt. Um, but so you won't have individual parties now that you've had this party.
Yes, and I'm not going to have a shower. So I had the whole thing for my first wedding, the bachelorette party, the bridal shower, the big Italian wedding with, 300 guests. This time around, I'm doing things very different. I did a Jack and Jill bachelorette party with Anthony. I'm not doing a bridal shower. I don't want this to become bigger than what it is, right? This wedding for me is just an intimate moment with like my super close friends and family to celebrate Anthony and I. So I don't need all the extra things that come along with the wedding. If that makes sense.
Okay, I got it. But it's not a wedding until you get your first toaster oven. You know that. Uh, Uh-huh. Well, that's cool. I'm glad you had a good time. I saw the pictures. I said, boy, she's having a blast, whatever she's doing. So now that I know that it was Jack and Jill, and it's good that you didn't use your real names. That way you don't have to own up to anything. That's good.
No, we don't own up to anything.
Oh, anyway, before we get started, I just want to let everybody know that if you'd like to learn a little bit of something about where we're coming from, I'm here at ATC and Nicole is there at Legacy. I'll tell you, these guys support our show, and Addiction Training Center supports first responders and treatment centers and people who are in crisis by giving them education, training, and all the things they need so that they know how to help people when they are in crisis. That is what we do here. We have trainings in de-escalation, in communication, trainings in addiction and brain chemistry, and of course, our flagship course, our intervention course itself. If you'd like more information about Addiction Training Center, please go to atceducation.com, or you can give us a call here at 786-514-0893. 786-514-0893. Tell us a little bit about Legacy there.
So Legacy Healing Center is a behavioral health facility for substance abuse and mental health. We are located. Oh, I have exciting news. We are currently located in South Florida, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And come August 1st, we will have our facility in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah, we treat addiction. So if you're out there and you are struggling, or you have a loved one who is struggling, give us a call. You could reach out to me personally, on my Facebook or on my Instagram, or go to our website, legacyhealing.com, or give us a call at 888 Legacy 5. We do accept private insurance and self pay. If your insurance does not meet our criteria, what I can tell you is that we don't leave anybody hanging. So if you give us a call and Legacy is not the fit for you, we make sure to get you into a place regardless. So, if you or a loved one is seeing this and you're struggling, just reach out.
Yeah, I know that's the truth because of the good people that work at Legacy. Certainly, you being one of them, but Mark and Mike and everybody else there, they're all dedicated to helping people.
Yeah.
And certainly, if they can help them there, they will. But if they can't, they will find a place. And it's part of their mission is just to make a difference. So that's important. And if you want to, you know what, I encourage people to tour. Listen, call us and ask us questions about Addiction Training Center. You come over and meet with us, do a podcast with us, all sorts of things we could do. But with Legacy, you definitely want to tour and meet the great people, because when you do, you'll realize that's a great place to be. And are they going to be moving you up to Cincinnati?
No.
You didn't give that much thought, did you? It was very quick.
I definitely want to go and see it in person because the picture of it is just, it's mind blowing. But no, I'm going to stay right here in South Florida.
You've lived up north. You've lived up north.
Yeah, I lived in Long Island, so I don't see myself leaving Florida ever.
I agree. Me too. Me too. I spent too many years. I spent 42 years of my life in the North Country. I don't need to spend another minute up there.
No, it's paradise. Like, even when it's the other day, it was downpour, like tsunami, raining, and even though that weather was shitty, I still looked out my window and I saw that palm tree, and I was excited for a rainstorm. If I was back in Long Island, I would have been miserable.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then they got that last week. I don't know if you still got friends up there that you talk to, but last week they had that heat wave. And when the heat wave hits up north, it is god awful. It's not like down here. We know how to deal with it down here. Up there, it's just nasty, especially in the city.
Yes, they were all panicking. A bunch of my friends called me and they were like, "Oh my God, we're having a heat wave." And I said, "Am I supposed to feel bad for you? That's out 4 months out of the year here in Florida. Like, you'll be okay. You'll be all right."
Yeah, what they see as a heat wave, we see as January. That's they don't know heat wave until you're down here in August walking across the beach with bare feet and burning your feet on the sand.
Burning is stepping on coal. That's
I know.
And is. Oh.
I know. It's like a big Tony Robbins seminar. You got to walk across the fire to get to your blanket.
Yeah, that's why I don't do the beach in the summer of Florida. Isn't that crazy? I rather go to the beach in like October, November, December when I'm here. When it's summertime in Florida, I like air conditioning. Sometimes the pool, but air conditioning.
No, the pool definitely. The pool is good because pool has got the white concrete, doesn't get as hot. Yeah. You know, you just roll right off of the chair into the water. Come back out of the water, lay in the chair until you're dry. Then you repeat.
Jump right back in again.
And that's what you do. And that's what you want to meet people who live in Florida. Look at the pools. You want to meet tourists, go to the beach. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I haven't had a shark bite me in a pool yet, so I'm happy with the pools. But listen, we're here to talk about recovery, not just about living in Florida. We are in recovery from living up north. I'm 11 years from the North Country, so that's my recovery. But you recently had an anniversary.
No, right? I'm coming on. I will have, God willing, 10 years in October.
Oh, in October. Okay.
Anthony had an anniversary.
Anthony had one. That's right. Mine's in October. What's your date?
October 25th.
Let's see. 14th.
What's yours?
14th.
My birthday is October 15th.
Oh, wow. Wow. So you're coming up on 10 years?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'll be coming up. It'll be 18 or 19. I keep forgetting.
Oh,
I keep forgetting. I got to do math. I hate doing math. So I don't, but I think it'll be 18.
nice.
I don't know. I can't tell. You know,
That's
but it's all about the journey anyway. I mean, counting the days. It's important to, we let people know that it works, but each day is just part of the journey and everything else. And it's just such a blessing
it
to be
sure is.
sober, but it wasn't always a blessing, was it?
No, and even, you know, it's funny because I get to work at a place where people are coming in here and detoxing, and then they get to go to the next level where they are newly sober. And even though 10 years, like, yes, it's a long time, but at the same time, it's not that long. I sometimes forget how things were in early sobriety. And I easily get reminded by talking to some of the clients here. Hi, Sandy.
Yes, that's my mom. My mom has got us today. I just saw Karen is with us too. Karen from Crazy About Costumes in Fort Lauderdale,
Hi,
my
Karen.
good friend. Um, we've got Tom Gin with us, and he's saying, hello, Scott and Nicole. Would love to have you both on my live stream program on your own health. Message him. So I'll set that up so we can kind of spread the word a little bit.
Okay.
And he says, we are in crisis in America and everyone can help solve this problem. Please share. Absolutely, we're in crisis. So you were talking about these newcomers and stuff. I mean, watching this progress must be amazing on a daily basis for you.
I love it. I love it. And I even keep in contact when they leave us, and they're doing like IOP or making NA and AA meetings. I make sure to keep in contact with them. Like, we have an amazing alumni team, and I love to just know how they're doing and the fact that they're staying sober, and I get to hear about the turmoil that they go through. And early sobriety is no joke, and I feel like I always hear in the rooms like the first year is a gift. My first year was a lot, a gift. I mean, I guess it was a gift, but it was a lot of work. Just
Yeah.
coping with learning how to feel. I had no idea how to feel, and now I have to, even feeling happy was uncomfortable for me because it was unfamiliar. So
Right.
there was a lot in early sobriety.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I was looking at there's 7 top things that people deal with in early sobriety, and yeah, I used to wonder about that same thing. They said the first year's a gift. It's like the first year you work your ass off for that first year because you've got to fight your natural instincts. You got to fight a lot of different things and old habits. Just a simple habit you've got to fight, but and you just said emotions, feelings. That's the number one issue for people because we have been numb to feelings for so long. One of the things that alcohol and drugs do in the body is they shut down the receptors. They interrupt the flow of dopamine and the flow of serotonin. And these are the things we get our feelings and our emotions kind of are based in. And so when we come in and all of a sudden those feelings and emotions start rushing in, and a lot of them are negative at the time because we're feeling bad, that's a tough thing to deal with, isn't it?
It sure is. It sure is. And then not to, we're so used to taking something to numb it out. So it's like
Yeah.
now you sit there in your own skin, which I know I could speak for a lot of us addicts, but I'm just going to keep it on myself. I know for me, when I was new, I hated myself. So to have to sit with myself on top of feeling all of those feelings, my first year was not really a gift. I fought for it.
Yeah.
I crawled into those meetings desperate and just wanting it so bad. And I think that's a big part of early recovery too, is you really have to remain like honest, open-minded, and willing to get through everything that someone could go through in the beginning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And try to find some joy where you can
Yep.
because because these negative emotions or even the emotions I can't quite understand. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if I'm feeling good or bad. I'm just feeling and it's weird and it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. We got to make sure we add some fun in there and distract ourselves every once in a while with the fact that we will be okay. We'll get by this. It's going to be okay.
Mhm.
People every day out there in the real world deal with their emotions, good stuff, bad stuff, stuff in the middle. They deal with it. We're just not practiced at it, and it takes time.
Yeah.
I will guarantee people, though, there will come a time when you will become so grateful for those emotions that even the bad stuff you feel gratitude for. You follow what I'm saying, Nicole?
Yeah. And even though that sounds crazy to some, it makes sense to people that have gone through it. Like I am grateful for when I feel negative feelings, right? It gives me an opportunity to kind of analyze what it is I'm going through. And when I do that, it's a chance to grow for me. Like if I know I'm in a funk or something's going on and I'm feeling these feelings, one, it makes me appreciate when they pass, right? Because that saying, this too shall pass, it's true. So when the
Yeah.
negatives pass, I'm super grateful for the positive ones. But it gives me a chance to take a look at myself and really kind of pinpoint what's going on now, and then having the ability to change it or learn from it, which is
It's a big blinking sign, opportunity for growth right here, right in front of you. It's there. And when I say that, I appreciate the negative emotions as well, or should I say, the emotions that don't make me feel as good. Because I know when I was at my grandmother's funeral, I was drinking.
Mhm.
And I looked around and I was trying to pretend to feel what everybody else was feeling, but I didn't feel anything.
Yep.
And that actually made me feel less than human. It was a horrible feeling that I could not feel for my grandmother, who I loved very dearly. But
Mhm.
when my grandfather passed, I was sober and I was able to feel all of that. And of course, I felt sad. And it was like, he was one of the greatest gentlemen who ever walked this earth, and I'll stand by that. Uh, but I was so grateful to at least express true emotion, to
Yeah,
to really feel something. I was grateful for that, and I have to remember that lesson that everything you said it very well. Everything's an opportunity to grow. Everything's an opportunity for me to get to the other side of, and victories are where we get to celebrate. So we need hardships every once in a while, don't we?
I agree. Yeah. I'm grateful for my hardships. I really am. And even not just in like early sobriety. It's throughout the past 10 years. It's funny. When I got into recovery, they said, put your seatbelt on. I said, what? And they said, yeah, you got to put your seatbelt on because you're about to have the ride of your life. And I didn't really understand that until now. And the truth is, recovery for me has been a roller coaster. It's consistent like this. When I'm good, everything is good. It lasts for some time, but then life on life's terms happens. And you learn just to keep going and growing. And I always have a choice though. Like in the beginning of my recovery, I didn't look at it that way. I looked at it as like, boo hoo, poor me. I'm a victim. Why does this keep happening? How come it's happening to me? Why isn't it happening to you? And like today, I'm not that way because of recovery. Like today I am able to take a look at all of it and want to grow from it. But in early sobriety, I was a very big victim to everything because that was my belief system, obviously before recovery and then in recovery.
Nicole, it's funny because people don't stand in line to go on a roller coaster that has no hills or bumps or anything. If your roller coaster just was on a flat track that went around in a circle and it was
Nobody,
safe and it was even and everything else, there's nobody that would buy a damn ticket or stand in line for it. People stand in line because they want the thrill of getting up and then shooting down and then coming up again and not knowing when that turn is coming and just having that, and that's what life is. And if we can appreciate it and
yep,
think, would I stand in line for the ride that I've had in my life? Of course I would, because it's better than a roller coaster. It's everywhere. And the only thing I have to do is go into it saying, I have faith that if I hang on, I'm going to be all right.
yep,
I'm going to be all right. And we take those rides because we want the dips and turns. So, but then people are like, oh, I don't like that. It's like, oh, no, we all do like it. You're just not applying it to your life. That's all. Apply it to your
yep.
life and you're going to be great.
Agreed. Agreed.
Now, there's another thing that comes in. So emotions is a big one. That's number one in riding that roller coaster. Cravings themselves, there's a whole nother animal.
Mm.
And one of the things I want to tell people now is once you've gone through a detox and a significant period of time, and significant being weeks, not years or anything like that, the physical cravings that you will have are mostly perpetrated by your thoughts. It's like 95% of that is your thoughts creating that,
Yes.
because the physical addiction passes faster than the psychological addiction.
Yes.
And what if we can assign that and understand that what we're craving mostly is everything is happening in our head, and we actually do have control to change that thinking, it might be a little easier. I mean, what do you think about that?
I agree. I definitely agree. I think that in the head, it's always going to be there, even when there is some time, because I believe that we have a disease of addiction that's up in here. So like it is normal for an addict or an alcoholic to want to drink or want to drug. Um, but I do think when you become aware that it's a thought, the same saying as before, that this too shall pass, like if you talk, but you have to put the footwork in also, right? Like when you get those cravings, I had to learn that like I can't just sit with them, right? I have to pick up,
Yeah,
call my sponsor. I have to share about it with my support group. I have to pray. I have to, I have to do something if I want them to pass.
right.
So I definitely agree.
It takes action, absolutely. If you're in an uncomfortable situation, you don't set up a lawn chair in the middle of it. You get through it. We were talking about the hot sand. If
Mm-hmm.
you step onto the hot sand, and it's burning your feet and it's hurting and you're uncomfortable,
You're
you
gonna
say
run.
to yourself, get off the freaking sand.
Yep.
But sometimes when we're stuck in bad thinking that's creating these cravings and creating all these things, we sit in it. We sit in it. We'll sit on the sofa, we'll turn on the TV, we'll eat a bunch of candy, and we'll lay there thinking it's going to go away. It's not. You got to change. You got to move. You've got to do something with your thinking. Sarah from Agape is with us. Sarah Sanders from Agape, and says such a great job, so informative. Thank you, Sarah, for being with us.
Thank you.
Agape, another nice program in Fort Lauderdale.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I think that really the point is I want people to understand that they think the cravings are you cannot fight a craving. Of course you can.
Yeah.
You know, I think of it this way: is have you ever stood on top of a really tall building and just for a moment thought it would be so cool to fly? It would be so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever have that?
Yeah.
But why didn't you jump?
Fear.
Well, fear. That's another show we're going to do. I didn't jump because I knew that I can't fly.
Mm.
I don't jump because I know what's going to happen is I'm going to fall. I might fall with style, but it ain't flying.
Mm.
Um, I don't jump because my brain takes over and says, okay, well, I get the idea that you'd like to do that, but that really doesn't make sense now, does it? My brain is able to do that. And after a period of time of sobriety, your brain can start doing that with thoughts of drinking and drugging as well. I see somebody drinking an ice cold beer on a hot day, and I think, boy, I'm thirsty. But my brain is now trained to say, but you don't want the beer. You need iced tea, or you need lemonade, or you need water. So it's our brains are everything for us people, and we can train them. Sometimes the cravings we're having is just because our untrained brain is reaching for anything.
Yep.
Uh, does that make sense the way I'm saying that?
Yeah, and it's usually I know for me, it's usually to fill some type of void, right? Like when
Yeah.
I have things now, it's not a lot, but like you said, that ice cold beer that someone's drinking, right? When it's hot and I see the condensation dripping down that bottle, and I say to myself, wow, that looks good. I go a little deeper into it. Why does that look good? Right? Why do
Yeah.
I want that beer? Because on a normal day, those thoughts aren't really there, But I'll say one thing, and this might sound crazy to some people. I'm grateful for those cravings, right? Because in the beginning of my recovery, I kept hearing all the time, wait for the obsession to lift. The obsession will lift. And I remember before entering recovery, using was everything. every 24 hours, 7 days a week, like using everything and anything. And when I came into recovery, I remember being so afraid that I'm obsessed. I have an obsession. How is it going to go away? And I would constantly hear. And I remember to the point of the exact day, it was 96 days clean I had. And it was the first time in 17 years that I was able to wake up and not have the thought of using. And still
Wow.
to this day on my gratitude list, when I do them in the morning, 10 years later, I add that into my lists, that I am grateful that I wake up without the thought of using. So, like, I'm grateful for those cravings because I realize that they do get better and they do get less and less with the more time and the more work I do on myself.
Yeah, it becomes more of a memory than a craving. It becomes like, listen, of course I'm going to remember drinking. I did it for a large portion of my life. Of course I'll remember it, and I'll even remember the smell and the taste of it because I certainly did love it because it's part of my addiction to love alcohol and drugs. But the craving part comes in when my brain starts telling me I have to have it. It's not even that I want it; it's that I have to have it. And like you said, your brain now works differently. It's like, why do I want it? Well, it's not that I want it. I want something cold to drink. So go get some water or something. That's fine. Or I could say, just because, well, I have a memory one day of being on the beach and drinking. Okay, that's a memory. It ain't reality. It ain't real. It ain't now. So move on. It does get so much better, though. You're absolutely right, Nicole. And sometimes you don't even see when it happens. You might look back 6 months down the road and you might look back and say, I don't even know when I stopped thinking about it the way I used to.
Yep,
But it does happen if you stay the course, I promise you.
it definitely does.
So, number 3, and this is a big one. This is a big one. You just mentioned it about having that hole in you, that absence of stuff.
Hmm.
Boredom. People, they fall victim to boredom, or they create boredom almost so they can feel bad. I don't know which one's first, but they're bored. Uh, First of all, let me tell you, you know who gets bored? Boring people. Because I'm not a boring person. I am never bored. I'm alone a lot, but I'm never bored. I'm not even lonely. I've always got something I could be doing. Um, so, did you have that issue with boredom when you first got sober?
So I remember my sponsor telling me that if I was bored in the beginning of my recovery, that meant I was doing the right thing. And I said, what the heck does that mean? Like, I don't want to be bored. I don't want to sit by myself. I don't want, and she said that in the beginning of my recovery, right, I had to learn how to not go out every day, every night, always doing something, like, because that was my addict mentality, is that I could never sit with me. I always had to do something, right? And a part of it too was to fill that void, to always make sure I was here and there, and she said to me, it's okay and it's a good thing to be bored. And I remember sitting with myself and feeling bored, but hearing her tell me that, and then knowing, like, okay, I'm safe. I'm home. I might be bored and alone, but I'm home and I'm safe and I'm not getting high just for today. So it made me feel a little bit better. And then other times that I felt like I was bored, I took a look at it. And they have little suggestions like make a meeting, and then after the meeting go to the diner with some people. And I was afraid to do that at first because I felt uncomfortable. But then I was like, all right, if I'm bored and I catch myself leaving a meeting saying, oh, I have to go home, let me step out of my comfort zone and go to the diner with a bunch of women I don't know. And I
Yes.
started to do that, which took me out of my boredom, if that makes any sense.
Well, I also know you like to do things like exercise. I know you and Ann like to exercise.
Yes.
And I like going out and like listening to music or going in and playing my guitar or painting or something. So the truth is that boredom in most cases is a choice not to do something.
Yes.
And if we're actually choosing it, then how are we calling it boredom? It's kind of strange. I'm choosing silence and solitude. But for me to call it boredom, see, now, if there's no power, If there's, you know, a hurricane comes through, we can't go out on the streets. We can't leave our homes. There's no power. There's no TV. The lights are out, so you can't read a book. There's nothing to do. You can call me and tell me you're bored. But beyond that, I'm telling you, most people, they put themselves in a position by choosing, like you said, I'm not going to go to the diner and hang out with all those women. By choosing not to do that, I'm choosing solitude and peace. But I'll call it boredom, and it doesn't even make sense. Do you follow where I'm going with this?
Yes, and I feel like I've heard people say like, "Oh, I relapsed because I was bored. I relapsed," and not to sound harsh, but I feel like that's victim mentality. I feel like if you were in that moment and you were sitting there and you were bored, get your ass to a meeting. Pick up the phone and call someone random in recovery and say, "Let's meet for a cup of coffee." Do
Yeah.
step work, read a book. I just feel like in early sobriety, if I hear people tell me they're bored, it's either like me, like they're just not used to life being kind of quiet. They're used to the chaos, or
Yeah.
they're playing victim and they just choose to not do anything to better themselves, and they rather sit there and sit in self pity.
It's like a small child, Nicole, which we understand kids. We both got them. You buy every toy that's on the market and they got everything they could possibly want. And they'll walk up to you in the middle of the day and say, I'm bored.
Yep.
And they want you to entertain them instead of saying, all right, Johnny, Bobby, Tommy, whatever your name is, I'll figure it out because you live here. So I know who you are. But you see, it's almost like they're saying, I don't want to be responsible for my own entertainment. I want you to entertain me. One of the reasons that we like alcoholic and drug addict chaos is because it just is created as we go. It's like we play a part in it, but it's almost so automatic that it feels like it's just everything is coming at us and it's all noise and it's all crazy. Now we're left to our own devices and we're like, entertain yourself, make a choice and do something. And we're like, no, I want somebody else to do it for me. It's almost a childlike reaction we have to that kind of stuff. You're right. We can make choices to do something fabulous, or we could sit there and say, I guarantee that if you've got a roof over your head and if you've got clothes in your closet, you could be doing anything from laundry to writing a book. I don't care what you could be doing. You're choosing not to do something. Do not call that boredom. Do not call that boredom. Boredom is something different. I get it's a pet peeve of mine that people use that, and you're right. They use it to play the victim. They use it to play the victim. If I'm bored, then I got an excuse to act out.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. I did it because I was bored. I relapsed because I was bored. It's just an easy way out.
And then the last one I want to address, because we've already gone through our time, believe it or not. But I just want to address this one really quickly, which is it's not the same as boredom. It's loneliness. Now certainly there's other issues like there's money issues, relationship issues, and certainly sometimes mental health issues. And I get all that. But loneliness is kind of a driving force for a lot of different things. And the biggest part of loneliness, in my opinion, is the inability to be okay with you.
Yes.
Because you've always got you with you.
Mm-hmm.
But are you okay hanging out with you? Would you be your own friend?
Yep. Today I will. You know what I mean? Today I will. In the beginning of recovery, I wouldn't. So the guy that I was getting high with at the end of my using became my husband overnight, even though there's that one suggestion, stay out of a relationship. I said, yeah, I'll take all the other suggestions, but that one, and the truth is a big part of why I jumped into that relationship is because I hated being lonely or alone. I hated being by myself. I absolutely did. Now, if Anthony's not home and the kids are with daddy, ooh, it's the best day of my life. I love it. But that's because I love being by myself today. I can go to dinner by myself today. I remember the first time in early sobriety, somebody suggested that to me. Go take yourself out on a date. Take yourself out to dinner. And I said, by myself? And I didn't understand it. Now going to a restaurant by myself is amazing.
It's yeah, absolutely. But it's about, if you can't be with yourself and be okay with that, What is it about you that isn't worth spending time with? And
Hmm.
change that. You know, I have to look at myself. Everybody says, you learn to love yourself. I get that and everything else. But do you like yourself? See, I like hanging out with people I like. I love a lot of people, but I don't like everybody. It's like saying I love everybody. I have a handful of friends and I trust a few. But um, I just I got to become that person that I want to spend time with. And if I'm sitting there and uncomfortable being by myself, identify that. What is it about me that I don't like? Why is it so bad? And how am I expecting to get into relationships with other people if I can't even promote that's like me selling a product that I don't want to use.
Yeah. That's
It's like, hey,
that's why that suggestion is there. How, this relationship that I'm in today is the first relationship that I don't expect to be happy because I'm with Anthony, right? Like I had to find my happiness before even getting in the relationship with Anthony. And he adds to it. Don't get me wrong. He adds to my happiness
yeah,
tremendously. But I had to learn all these things within myself before I jumped into another relationship because they never worked. They never worked out. And I remember I would always say, how come it didn't work? I don't know, because I didn't like myself. How am I going to like you?
if two happy people come together, you end up with a happy couple. If one happy person and one miserable person gets together, you end up with a miserable couple. If two miserable people get together, you end up with a miserable couple. I mean, people can't come in misery hating themselves and expect a relationship to change that because you're still you. You haven't figured out anything yet. You got to figure out who you are and decide to like yourself. Treat yourself well, love yourself, take yourself out on a date or do those things or whatever it might be. Learn a new skill, pick up a hobby, do something. Um, but that uncomfortability, that loneliness, that uncomfortability of if I don't have somebody else around me, I can't even be a human. We see that all the time in recovery. People start chasing women or chasing men the minute they get in there because they can't. Because what we're saying is, okay, we're going to focus on you, and they're saying, no, I need to focus on someone else, and I need somebody else to focus on me. I'm not focusing on myself, and that's a big tripping point for a lot of people.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
afraid to really look at themselves.
yeah, and it's a part of the get high, right? Like I I know I'm an addict through and through, right? Like when somebody asks me what my drug of choice is, I didn't have one, but if I can go back and really take a look at my life, my first drug of choice was men. It wasn't even crack or heroin or weed. It was men, right? So like I knew when I came into recovery, you know, there was going to be other ways that I wanted to fill the void of being lonely, you
Yeah.
know? And I feel like it's almost similar to boredom, right? Like people use that as a cop out. Oh, well, I'm lonely. So do something about that in order to one day like who you are, right? Because that's another thing that takes footwork. I had to learn one who I was and what I liked because I had no idea who Nicole was. And the Nicole that I was, I hated. So I had to do some work. It wasn't like a one day I woke up and I was like, today I'm gonna like myself, and then that was it. No, there was there's step work. There's a lot of work that went through it. So I also feel like when we hear people say like, oh, I'm lonely, so then do something about that. Work on yourself in order to change that.
Absolutely. Because if you don't like something about you, you know exactly who to go to about it. You.
Mhm. Mhm.
You're the one who could change it. And it's the only relationship you're going to have in your life where you actually have full control over every aspect of that relationship.
Yep.
There's no other relationship like that. You don't want one like that. Trust me. We don't want those. And you're
Mhm.
right. People use relationships. Women use men and men use women, certainly, because they're looking for something to make them feel good that's outside of themselves. And
Yeah.
anytime you have to go outside of yourself to feel good and you cannot get it from within, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to get it from within, and then the stuff you get from the outside makes it even better.
Yep.
But
Because
you
eventually,
got to start with something,
yep,
you
I
know?
agree.
So we've talked about emotions, certainly cravings, boredom, and loneliness as being some uh, difficulties in early sobriety, and I'd even hazard to say difficulties in life for a lot of people.
Mhm.
This isn't just about addiction. There's some people that suffer from this, maybe because of mental health issues or
Yeah,
trauma or shame or whatever it might be. We encourage you guys to get help and deal with this stuff. Um, but any final thoughts on these things, Nicole?
I agree. I think that, yes, we cater around addiction, because one, we're in recovery, and two, we do business with places for addiction. But at the end of the day, I think every single person has an addiction of their own or struggles with one of the four things that we spoke about. And there's always a choice in life. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit and allow yourself to play the victim and self pity, or are you going to do something different so you can get the change that you want?
Absolutely. And if this last 3 years hasn't taught us anything through the COVID crisis, the shutdowns, the shut-ins, all those things that have happened because of COVID, we are all susceptible to self-pity. We're all susceptible to boredom and loneliness and those kind of things if we decide to fall into that self-pity kind of mode. Um, and the only way around it is to go through it and to do something about it. Loneliness does not go away by sitting and thinking about how lonely you are. Boredom does not go away by calling somebody, telling them I'm bored. It goes away when you take action and do something. You make a choice and you do something. And pick something up. Pick up a paintbrush. Pick up a guitar. Grab a bicycle and take a ride. Certainly, for God's sake, get some sunshine every once in a while. And make friends. Make friends. Spend time with people who have something that you want, because
Yes.
now it's a bonus. Because that's the bonus. If I hang out with people who have really good sobriety, I'm not only being entertained by good friends and having a good time, I'm actually learning from them and growing.
Yeah.
So there's so many great things out there. I wish everybody could get there. And I know everybody is capable of getting there. Unfortunately, we also know not everybody will, but we're going to keep fighting.
I agree.
That's what we're going to do. Nicole, so good to see you. And we'll catch up again in 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. And if you guys want to get a hold of Nicole or myself, you can go on our Facebook pages or reach out to Nicole at Legacy Healing Center or me right here at Addiction Training Center. And that's all I got for today.
This is amazing.
I know. It was so amazing how fast it goes, right?
I know. I looked at the time up on the left. I said, oh my God, almost 45 minutes.
I know. I know. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We will catch you next time. Nicole, sit still for just a second. All right.